Hello there. This tutorial will be an example for how you can use video editing software to convert the large recordings that you have of like your work, and how you can convert it into a smaller video and put other information on the top. This is the recordings that I took for the Chaser build, which was about a 1 hour video, and I want to convert that into a 10-minute video. The software that I'm using is Adobe Premiere Pro. It is available from the Creative Cloud, and the reason why I chose it was because it's available for free for students. You just have to go and Google Creative Cloud for free, and you put in your student email address, and you should be able to download the software. And it should be available for Windows and Mac. Also, with this software, make sure the video file that you are saving your work in, for example, when you get it from your phone or from your camera device, first film a 1 minute version of that and see if you can plug it into this software before you do a 1 hour version, because otherwise you might have to convert the software. For example, my original file over here was MKV, and then I had to convert it to M4V so it could actually work in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so once you've downloaded Creative Cloud, you go to Video and Motion, you click Premiere Pro, pick the highest number version, and you go and open it and you download it, and you should be greeted by this screen over here. Then you go File over here, you go File, Project, you pick a name of it, you can change the file location. This folder over here that we're having, called Chaser, everything that we do with this project is going to be saved in there. For example, when we do some recordings over the top, when we put in some images, they're all going to be in that folder. So it's going to really help keeping stuff from getting messy. So we're going to call this the Chaser LED 10-minute tutorial, and we press OK. And we're greeted by this screen over here. We have a bunch of graphics over here because we're in this graphic area. We're going to spend our time starting with the editor, where we can put in our video and we can start working on it. But before we start dragging in our footage, the first thing we want to do is, over here I've made a very basic storyline, so I have some idea of what I want my video to look like. Start of it, I'm going to add in a title page. Right, I can show you how to do that with graphics. We're then going to add in a picture of a circuit diagram and a picture of the stock take, and we're going to do a bit of voiceover to explain what those are, to give a general description of what the circuit is. Then we're going to add in all the construction time we did with our video, and we're going to accelerate it so we can see just the complete construction being done in 6 minutes. And then the last part I'm going to put into the video will be regarding the 555 time in the decade counter, explaining how it works. I will not be showing you that in this tutorial because otherwise it will spoil the work for you, and you're going to be doing that in your task yourselves anyway. But so my video is going to end at about the 7-minute mark with regards to the editing, and then I'll put that stuff in, but that's what I would finish my video with. So actually getting the information through. To get the information in there before we start, going over here, finding the image file, you can just click and drag it into this bottom area over here. This is called the timeline. If we click the screen over here, this over here is the timeline, which is the basic track that all your footage will be on. As you see here, this is the video. Up the top here is, the top is the video, the bottom is the sound. As you see here, those little squiggly lines there are related to like the volume of the sound that I was talking to. If we see over here, we see V3, V2, V1. That means these are the video tracks, and we have A1, A2, A3. These are the audio tracks. You can add more tracks in as you need them, but for now you only need this few over here. Up here is the preview channel, where we can see what our final footage looks like. Over here we see these are the video footages that is used in our project, so we can refer to stuff later. And I believe over here it's going to show like raw images for stuff that hasn't been modified yet. Okay, good. So we have our video in here. How we use this timeline, over here at the top we see the time. So our video started obviously at 0 and ends at about the 1 hour mark, sort of. We can use, if we hold down the Alt button, which I'm doing right now, and using the scroll wheel, we can zoom in. As you see here, I'm zooming into the time, so we've gone from 11 minutes to 11 minutes and 15, so we can get a more accurate thing. We can also use the scroll wheel We can also use the scroll wheel to move forwards and backwards in time. We can also use these bars over here to change the time. We can also, so once we've, let me zoom out a bit. So this over here is the image, the footage. We can move it around, so forwards and backwards. So when we start to get other videos that overlap each other, we can move them around. Over here, this is the blue line. This blue line relates to where we've currently paused our footage. So when we want to move it, we can bring our device over and it like snaps to it, which is going to be relevant when we want to cut our video short. So the first thing I know about this video, because I've already had a look at it, is that about the 25-minute mark is the end of the stock take. As you see over here, this is the stock take. And I believe I start soldering at this point over here. So I'm going to put my blue marker at about the 25-minute mark. Then as I bring my mouse over here, we see how I get a red icon on it. It's like, it looks like like an arrow pulling the side of a box forwards. So I can click that, and what it lets me do is it lets me drag this video. So what I'm doing is I'm clipping my video. So if I do it that, it's going to clip it up to that mark. So when the video is going to start is just there, and it's already a lot shorter now. So I can actually drag this and bring it to the front, and then we can see the video is only now about 30, maybe 37 minutes, sort of. So I've already saved a lot of my time there. I can also, when I want to do an overlay, I can press this button over here to mute the soundtrack, and I can also press voice over record to put my own voiceover in certain areas of the film. So the first thing we can do is mute that because we don't need that, and we'll deal with that. We can actually reduce that down to 7 minutes. If I right click over here, I can say speed and duration. If I click this part down here, I can change my duration of this part to 7 minutes. And there we go. That if we play this now, we can see that it's moving at like super fast speed. So that's like the montage of doing the complete drawing. And in fact, 7 minutes might be, so 7 minutes is too long because I still need 3 minutes to explain the thing. It's actually down to 5 minutes. So let's change this to 5 minutes. There we go. Super acceleration. Look how fast I am. Like a genius. So we're looking at the lights and we're going through. Great. So next thing we need is some sort of title page, because that was the first thing we wanted to do for this task. If we go to graphics, so over here you have your templates, which are your previously done tasks, previously done title pages. There's a lot of basic ones that are just text. Then we have some more interesting ones. If you go to Adobe stock, we see over here we have a lovely collection of all these interesting title pages. The issue is any of these that have a dollar sign next to them, you've got to pay for. So if we press the free button over here, it's going to load up just the free designs. And this is an example of one I tested earlier. So what I did over here is if you right click it, you can press download. You got to download it and give it time to load up. And so if you look there, it should be in your, if it's in your templates, it means you've already downloaded it. So I'm just going to get it and click and drag it to the start of my movie over here. So now if I zoom in and put my time over there, I am now ready to edit this. Let me so what I did there is if you just double click it, you can actually change the individual text. I don't know if you can change anything else in the background. So I'm going to enable this. I want to label this Chaser LED. Chaser LED circuit tutorial. And then we can say Pertain. Good. All right. So we have this information. You can also change. So you can pretty much change anything in here. If you go over here to the text control, you can change the font if you want it to anything else. You can change the color. You can play around with all of it. I'm not going to do that now, but you can have fun with it yourself to personalize stuff. I'm pretty sure you can change your background icon if you want. But then if we press the play button, this should have some sort of cool animation in it. Does it? Oh, something's happening. Oh, that's going to be cool. Chase LED tutorial with a moving background. Pro. Great. So we can do that, and so that will be our intro. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be adding in the image of the circuit board, the circuit diagram. If we go over here to our files, we have it over here. We have the circuit diagram. We can just drag that in, and it's going to make a copy of it into our task. Now, by default, let's actually zoom in a bit more so we can see what's happening here. So by default, it's going to be quite small. It's only going to be around for like 5 seconds. But we obviously want it to be longer than that. So what we can do is we can, if we can get it, and we can actually drag it to be a longer time. So we can change the overall duration. I think over here we can actually change it to go on for like 30 seconds. And if we press OK, it should extend that image now for 30 seconds. Next thing, it's also the size could be larger, so we're going to right click it and we're going to say scale to frame size, and there we go. Now it's going to be nice and large, so we can make that nice and large, and then we just drag it over here so it aligns up with our intro. So if we press over here, we have Chaser LED, and then it's going to go straight to this where we can do some sort of talking and do an overlay with that. Great. Alright, so after we've done our circuit diagram, we want to add in the stock take. We can either just put an image of it like we did with our circuit diagram, but let's play around with some of the graphics. So over here under the graphics section, we have a bunch of graphics. We want a very basic graphic. Is there like a basic title? Yeah, hopefully that doesn't move around. So if we click over here and we drag in this basic title, let's have a look at it just to see if there's anything funky happening with it. Oh, warning, yep, just making sure I got the right fonts. I press play. Okay, good, it doesn't go anywhere because we don't want it to be a lot of these have like animations, and so that could affect. I mean, if you want it and it goes for it, great, but it's sometimes, if I'm putting up a table, it's not going to be the best to show like decent information on. Alright, so let's go back to editing and let's go and load up this image. So over here we have your title. So we're gonna, if we double click that, we can edit it like, hello. So if we go to our Excel spreadsheet and we copy it and go here, highlight it, and we can press import, so paste, and we have all the information here. Next thing, we're going to be adjusting all these values over here to fit it around the board correctly. These two I like over here. It's the vertical center and horizontal center. If I click, and click, it loads up the object into the center of the screen. Next thing, I like to press this button over here to align my thing to one side. Again, constantly doing this. And then I can actually change the scale. So if I change this over here, I can change the scale of the tabs. Oh, it doesn't have the top. Where did the top go? Where did you go? Oh, okay, sorry. I have to actually highlight it all. So if we highlight all of it, we can actually then change the, there we go, we can actually change the scale, bring it to the middle. Let's just make sure I've highlighted everything. Yep, okay, good. Then I can change this over here to change the font size once I have it highlighted. That looks fairly good actually, and I'm gonna just click the box and make sure I am dealing with center. Now see these little red squares that I've generated? Anytime you click on this, it's gonna make a text box. Over here, that means these are all blank text box. It's a bit annoying, so I just like to get rid of them all that are not being used. You can tell the one that you have the actual information on because it has all the words inside over here, part count, yada 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 yada. That's how we know that that is this one. So for regarding how long it is, if we right click it over here, if we change speed, if we just make it 30 seconds for now, that's honestly probably way more time than we need to actually describe this part. So, and we can always adjust it later as we do our voiceover. Alright, so let's see what our movie is going to be. This lovely intro. Chaser LED circuit tutorial. Yeah. Then we have the image of the diagram, which I'll do a voiceover for. And then let me just skip forward because I don't want to waste 30 seconds. As you go over here, then it should skip to, there we go, the stock take. That's going to happen. And then once that happens, I can align up the fast forwarded video after that. So let me try doing some recording and showing you how we're going to do that. So let me pause that for a hot second. And let's start by bringing our cursor right over here. So this is where I want to start. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to press this button over here. I'm going to say voice over record. So if I click this, it should start. Oh, hello. As I'm recording over here, we see it has this record button. So I'm hearing myself twice, which is a bit weird. Hold on. So then I press pause, and over there we see that we have that recording over here, how it has gone through. I don't know why I'm hearing myself twice. That is slightly annoying, but this is the file. Let me just press play. So I'm actually not talking with a mouth right now. This is the recording. So what I'm going to do for that part is I'm actually going to mute my microphone. I've got to mute my headset so I won't hear the information, but I don't want my browser to not hear it. So we will, let me just mute my headset. Okay, I assume that's going fine. So let's just delete this thing over here. So I'm going to start my drawing over here, and I'm going to be recording a voiceover. And then I'm going to talk about the circuit just to show what an example is. So this is an example of the chaser LED circuit, also known as the water flowing circuit. It is an electronic circuit that uses the interaction between a 555 timer, which is seen on the left of this diagram, and the decade counter, which is the CD4017. When the circuit's working, the light should flicker between lights 1 and 10, and then it should repeat in a pattern. This is the stock take that we used for this circuit. It has a circuit board. We have a 2 million ohm resistor, which is a trim pot, which is adjustable. We have two IC chips. We have the CD4017, which is a DIP 16, and an NE555, which is a DIP 8. We have an electrolytic capacitor, which is 1 microfarads, another electrolytic capacitor, which is 100 microfarads, two 470 ohm resistors, one kilo ohm resistor, and 11 LED lights that are 5 millimeters thick. So there we have my recording of that. As we see there, I didn't exactly have enough room to do that second recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to adjust this to give me more time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this first audio file, and I'm actually just going to shrink it down. So I think the first half of my audio was fine in that. So I'm just going to do the second half of the audio and go through it a bit faster so I can add that in. So go back over here. Notice how when I did my record audio, how it had like a timer over here. It had 3, 2, 1. So you could add the stuff in later into post. So let's go over here and let's make another audio. This is the stock take of the circuit. As we see here, there is a circuit board or a PCB. We have a trim pot, which is a 2 million ohm resistor. We have a CD4017, which is a DIP 16 IC. We then have an NE555 DIP 8 IC. We have an electrolytic capacitor, which is 1 microfarads. We have another electrolytic capacitor, which is 100 microfarads. We then have two resistors, which are 470 resistors. We have a single 1K resistor, and we have 11 5mm LED lights, and they are labeled as follows on the stock take. There we go. I think that was much better. So now I have those two files. This one over here, I can actually trim this one to go like that. And let me just turn my sound back on so I can actually hear what's happening here and see how this went. Alright, I'm recording on my headset. It seems fine. I don't think I have to do the rest. I will just make sure that we are... Oh, we've already clipped it. It's fine. So now we are going to show Now let's show the the software. So we can click this and we can drag this all the way to here. So now it's going to start right after this is done. It's going to go straight into the montage of the fast building. And because we've muted it, we don't have to hear the chipmunk sound of actually building the circuit, but we'll go all the way through. And then I'll do the same thing when I get to the end. I'll add in another video showing like how the 5x5 timer and such is made. But hopefully this is so now that we've done this, so this is actually ready to go out. I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to see if I can find us some royalty-free music to throw in. So I'll pause this video. You won't see anything because I'll just edit these all together. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I did a quick Google search, found a royalty-free music. That's from YouTube. I like the sound of it, so I went to download it, and that left me to this file over here that I should be able to paste right into my program. Now, remember, even if you're submitting a video just to show, like in private to me, depending on if you put music that isn't royalty free, it can still get picked up by software that can copyright strike the footage. So just be careful whenever you're putting in music in to make sure. Well, be aware that if it's a copyright issue, that we have to like fix it and maybe take the music out, or the sound might be removed. So anyway, I have my sound over here. Again, like with everything, I can just drag it in. Let's drag it in over there. So now we just have to zoom it into the right location. Hello, where are you? There we go. So we have the sound over there, the music. We don't want to adjust the timing. Oh, it gets very loud at this part. How's that going to sound? Ooh, very, very intense. I like it. Very hype. I do want to end the song early because that's my part where my video ends. And so now when I do this, I can do my intro. In fact, I believe I can. Let's see if I can just find a cool part. So if I that sounded pretty cool there, didn't it? So can I make a new track? If we could press add track just so I want to make another little track over here. I want to copy, I want to paste this. I want to paste this down here. I want to go over here just to like a cool sounding part of the song. This is how pro music people do it, I'm pretty sure. You go over here and then we just drag that along. And so now if we line that up, we should get some sort of it's so bad. Yes, because it's linked up with this sound file, so let's just fix this. Hold on. There we go, and let's make that a bit longer. So let's just see, why not make it good? Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. Practically Avicii. Alright, so I have my whole footage. I don't even know why this sound file, what's happening over here. Why does this even exist? What are you? Oh, stop. Now, are we able to do... Don't know if we're able to do transitions or not. Okay. Okay, so you have your footage here, and you want to export it so we can upload it onto YouTube and whatnot. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Export. I'm going to press Media. So here we have some options. If we press this Format button over here, we can choose a variety of formats. If you don't know which is the best option, there's pretty much two that are fairly safe. If you're using a Mac, you probably want to go QuickTime. You can click that. You can make sure the resolution is something you want. If you just keep it to the standard settings, it should be fine. Yeah, QuickTime is okay, and it's definitely accepted by YouTube. If you, I will use this one. I'll use H264. and we can tell by the file type it's going to make is an MP4, so that should work. If we click this blue wording over here for electric tutorials, we can change the location. So we can actually change the file name. So I want to call it Chaser 10-minute tutorial v1, and I press save. Everything else, so the main thing over here is I look at my resolution. It's 1080p, so that's ideal. Did I misspell my name? No, I didn't. Okay, it's Pertain. Sorry, because it just shows no P over here, but there's a P over here, so... Alright, so then if we go to export, it's going to start encoding. So this is going to take some time. This encoding could take, it says right there, an hour and a half, but realistically it takes about 20 minutes. If you're using a laptop or if you're using an old desktop, could potentially heat up. So if you are using a laptop, make sure you have the lid open, as in the screen open, have it plugged into a PowerPoint, and have it elevated, as in don't have it on like a bed or a blanket. Put it on a table to allow it to have good airflow above and beneath the laptop. The heat actually escapes the laptop through the keyboard and through underneath the keyboard. So we want that. If you're running a desktop computer, try to avoid running other programs while you're doing this because it's going to be using CPU power. I would recommend, once you're ready to encode your video, time it to do so it can encode while you're doing something else, either when you're having technology free time or if you're having dinner. So you can just go away and come back to your computer an hour later to see your results. Alternatively, if you have your computer plugged in another room, you can have it turned on while it's doing this encoding. Just make sure you tell other members of your family as well if it's a shared computer, because you don't want them to come back. You don't want to come back to your work and see that, you know, your brother's playing Fortnite and has deleted your entire project because he had to, you know, do quick builds and whatnot in Fortnite. But I'm not gonna wait another 55 minutes for this video, so I'm going to pause my video right now, and then I will get back to you when this recording has finished. Okay, so the recording has finished. If I look through this folder over here, we should have the MP4 file over here. Let's see if I load that up. Whatever you're viewing it on. Oh, the music is perfect. Video looks like it's high quality. Yep, skip through it. Everything seems fine. Cool. Okay, so that's the video, and at this point you would upload that to YouTube. So I'm going to just put in my encoded video at the end of this video so you can watch it through and see how the sound and everything linked up. Well, enjoy. I hope this tutorial was useful. Goodbye. This is an example of the Chaser LED circuit, also known as the water flowing circuit. It is an electronic circuit that uses the interaction between a 555 timer, which is seen on the left of this diagram, and the decade counter, which is the CD4017. When the circuit's working, the light should flicker between lights 1 and 10, and then it should repeat in a pattern. This is the stock take of the circuit. As we see here, there is a circuit board or a PCB. We have a trim pot, which is a 2 million ohm resistor. We have a CD4017, which is a DIP16 IC. We then have an NE555 DIP8 IC. We have an electrolytic capacitor, which is 1 microfarads. We have another electrolytic capacitor, which is 100 microfarads. We then have two resistors, which are 470 resistors. We have a single 1K resistor, and we have 11 5mm LED lights, and they are labeled as follows on the stock take.